I used to have a really terrible savior complex, meaning that like somebody would come in and they're like, oh, I really need a job. And I would ask them, like, well, what's your work experience? What do you have, what have you done? And they're like, well, I have no work experience. I'm just making shit up, but I have no work experience, or I'm actually just recently out of prison. So we're interviewing for this position and that position. Does any of that sound interesting to you? Yeah, I want to learn, like, okay, great. And then it's like, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. And they have like this kind of like long story about like their life. The entire time they're telling me this, I'm forming judgments. Now, they don't look like judgments to me. They look like pity. It's like, oh, that's so tough. I mean, like parents split up when you were a kid. Like that would really. But in a lot of those cases with the savior complex, I'm actually forming judgment. So I kind of mind myself and saying that I'm doing it out of pity, but it's really judgment. And so then I'm like, okay, well, gosh, I really want to help this person have an amazing life, right? So I'm going to step in and I'm like, all right, I'm going to give you a job. It's going to be great. And this thing that I'm playing in my head, so I have like this mental narrative, basically like, the old pop-up books that you had as a kid, it's like, oh, that's kind of like what I have playing in my head, that I'm like, you see this person that they had such this tough life. In the future, they're like driving around like big cars. They have this great family and everything's wonderful. And then I'm kind of like standing in the background, like, oh yeah, I was helpful in that. Like I helped to create that. And that's all vanity and it's all ego. That's all it is. The savior complex is vanity and ego.